How first-year design students explore and share their cultural diversity while articulating and using design principles to interpret the style of a research graphic designer, by Peggy Bloomer, Assistant Professor Art and Design, Central Connecticut State University, New Britain, Connecticut. The final project in my fundamental design course asks students to research a graphic designer, examine how that designer uses the principles of design, articulate the designer's style, and use those criteria to create an original poster. To support the university's diversity and inclusion goals, this project has been expanded to foster an understanding of diverse cultures. Students choose a designer who relates to their heritage, neurodiversity, or gender orientation. The final project in my fundamental design course asks students to research a graphic designer, examine how that designer uses the principles of design, articulate the designer's style, and use those criteria to create an original poster. To support the university's diversity and inclusion goals, this project has been expanded to foster an understanding of diverse cultures. Students choose a designer who relates to their heritage, neurodiversity, or gender orientation. The pie chart shows the ethnic diversity of New Britain, Connecticut. The largest segment represents Hispanic citizens from all of Latin America, the Caribbean, and South America. The next largest segment is white, with the smallest segment being Afro-American. 40% of households speak another language. As you will learn from my students, there are pockets of immigrants from around the world that are not represented by these figures from the U.S. Census Bureau. Students in our design program are very diverse and differ from the ethnic statistics of New Britain. For example, there is a segment of Asian students and many more Afro-Americans in the program than in New Britain. The school also attracts students from families that have recently immigrated to the United States from around the world. The following projects are designed to support the strategic goals of the university, while aligning with the emphasis of the school for creating a safe space that focuses on diversity, inclusion, and the exchange of ideas. In addition, they will also satisfy the program's learning outcomes. 3 departmental learning outcomes are assessed each year in the design courses that apply to the projects in the foundation class. Program learning outcomes for the Design Foundations course. Learning Outcome 1 supports a design foundation for visual aesthetics. Students apply design theory and process from an aesthetic perspective. Students will have demonstrated a familiarity and working knowledge of the different theories and philosophies of graphic information design in the development, execution, and presentation of written materials and design projects. The following projects are designed to support the strategic goals of the university, while aligning with the emphasis of the school for creating a safe space that focuses on diversity, inclusion, and the exchange of ideas. In addition, they will also satisfy the program's learning outcomes. 3 departmental learning outcomes are assessed each year in the design courses that apply to the projects in the foundation class. Program learning outcomes for the Design Foundations course. Learning Outcome 1 supports a design foundation for visual aesthetics. Students apply design theory and process from an aesthetic perspective. Students will have demonstrated a familiarity and working knowledge of the different theories and philosophies of graphic information design in the development, execution, and presentation of written materials and design projects. Learning Outcome 4, Design for Print Media. Students apply creative problem-solving and technical skills in the creation of effective design solutions for print. Student work provides evidence of an ability to effectively organize, interpret, synthesize, evaluate, and produce knowledgeable and successful projects in print media that situate themselves into the framework of contemporary graphic information design. Evaluations are made in critiques and presentations, by instructors and guest professionals, and in digital media tests. The assessment process for the design program stresses that a comprehensive design project allows students to undertake a project that improves ability in these important key areas: improve ability to effectively determine the extent of information needed, improve ability to access information using effective, well-designed search strategies and appropriate information sources, improve ability to evaluate information and sources critically, improve ability to communicate, organize, and synthesize information from multiple sources to achieve a purpose with clarity and depth, and improve the ability to use information ethically and legally. One of the activities in the course is weekly presentations and discussions focusing on famous 20th and 21st century designers. Students evaluate not just what they like about the work but how these designers use design principles. This prepares them to look at designers and develop the skills needed to articulate how a designer uses the principles and elements of design to create a style. Students also learn through various formative assignments how to create projects using raster and vector images with programs and technologies, employing design principles. This includes a photo book and data projects. The photo book is based on walks through the historic centers of New Britain and helps students to think about the economic and ethnic differences of neighborhoods within the city. The data projects have students research the consequences of redlining in various U.S. cities. This examination of diversity, inequalities, and problems in American cities creates a sense of free speech within the course and opens students up to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion issues in the class, while they practice using the principles and elements of design within their own work. The summative project called In the Style of includes research cataloged in an annotated bibliography and supported by a 20-slide Pecha-Kucha presentation that reviews the work and use of the principles. Students summarize the style of the designer. Then each student creates a large format work in the style of their designer. The finished work is presented in class with a discussion about how their work relates to the designer's style and work. Prompts and milestones for the In the Style of assignment also include an annotated bibliography, ideation, and their original interpretation of a poster or similar work that incorporates the design style of their chosen designer. The presentations. Students were encouraged to follow loosely a Pecha-Kucha style. That means that the presentation had at least 20 images for 20 seconds and could be a traditional presentation or a film with recorded voiceover or in-class presentation. This gave students options to present in several ways. Students that did not like to give live presentations could do the film or PowerPoint version with a recorded voiceover. Many students did the film version. The presentations were uploaded to a shared OneDrive file and presentations ran very smoothly in one class period. Other milestones of this project include research and ideation. Students prepared annotated bibliographies of their visual and scholarly research on designers in APA 7th edition and used sketching by hand and with programs like Procreate to explore their ideas for the final project. These activities support growth in information literacy and design thinking. This also supported the learning outcomes of the design program. The assignment has represented many graphic designers from many countries and other topics. Here is a partial list of chosen designers that demonstrates the diversity of student interests explored in this project. Alan Fletcher, Nairobi-born and an English citizen; Bernard Villamot, French; Charles Dawson, African-American; Claudia de Almeida, Brazilian; Danny Donovan, an American female designer working with ADHD; Jendi Tartakovsky, a Russian-American; John Wong from Manila in the Philippines; Hussein Baikar, Egyptian; Javier Mariscal, from the Catalonian region of Spain; José Rosa from Puerto Rico; Marimoto, a female Mexican who deals with body acceptance and the disappearance of women in Mexico; Joseph Muller-Brockmann, Swiss; Neville Brody, English; Shigeo Fukuda and Tadanori Yokoand, who are both Japanese; Shazel Malik, a female Pakistani who does a lot of street art about women's rights; Susanna Sanchez-Young, Hispanic; and Tibor Kalman of Hungarian origin and practicing in America. Here is what students said about this project in their reflections about the course.
I think my favorite piece from this semester is most definitely the third project, partially because I enjoyed the process of making it, and because I think it came out the best.
To start, I had to analyze the work I was trying to imitate, specifically Paula Scheer's posters for Bring in de Noise, Bring in de Funk. They all had the central focus of a dancer, with all the text fitting around him like puzzle pieces. So, with that info I had to brainstorm.
It's not just about making things visually appealing. It's about developing a visual language that connects with the audience, allowing me to carve out my niche in the field of design.
Although challenging to manage, going back to my roots and drawing all of this manually helped a lot. This leads me to the last lesson I took away from this class, which is that nearly everything is a resource.
I appreciate that the university supports diversity, equity, and inclusion in the admission of students. I have used this prompt for 3 semesters in my foundation course and I have learned so much about my students from it. I have several students who are first-generation students from Pakistan. They always blend both the Arabic and Latin writing systems in this project, which is an area I would like to explore more in a typography special topic course in the future. For example, I have learned that there are Armenian and Polish communities in New Britain. Many of my students have Puerto Rican and Jamaican roots. It is also interesting how many graphic designers have immigrated from one country to Europe or America. This reinforces the story of many of the designers we study in class. Many of them have also immigrated to America. I enjoy listening to students explain to me why they chose the designer they used. They are enthusiastic and interested in trends, topics, and learn about the connection between those interests and design as a field of study that reflects culture. I have used this assignment for 3 semesters and it has inspired me to add other assignments to other classes where students can explore their heritage, gender orientation, and neurodiversity. All in all, the assignment supports the university's strategic goals and is a vehicle for developing the program's learning outcomes.